In this video, we'll be looking into the important topics to cover in second module of full stack development subject. So I would say that second module is pretty easy and it has standard questions and standard set of questions which will be repeated. So I have actually covered all the important questions, all the questions from sample paper as well as internal question paper. So let's start. Stay tuned till the end. So first topic we have is Django templates. Understanding what Django templates is and explaining it with an example. So whenever they say explain these things with an example, we need not write the entire code. Okay, we can just write the template part. Okay, so let's start with Django templates. So it is used to generate dynamic HTML content for the web pages. Yes, templates are used to generate dynamic HTML content. We have studied this in first module. So it can be text files containing HTML markup plus Django template language code. So it typically has a .html extension. So Django template engine processes these files, replacing template variables, tags and filters with the actual value. How is it done? How is this done? This is done using the render function. So templates all allow for separation of presentation logic from the business logic. By doing this, we can get clear and more maintainable code. So we have a presentation layer, that is the HTML templates, and business layer, that is the Python code. So like separation of these two is done by the templates. Looking at the syntax, templates consists of special tags, variables, filters enclosed within the curly braces. And we have percentage signs also. So it could be this way, or it could be among two curly braces, and it could be among a filter also here. So these are the special tags, these are the filters, and here we have the variables. Okay, so we can render dynamic content into templates using variables passed via context dictionary. So we'll understand this and look into this while learning about the database, okay, in this module only. Stay tuned till the end. So this was about the introduction part of Django templates. Now let's look into the example. So Django templates describe an HTML that so we are looking at an example. So Django template describes an HTML that thanks a person for ordering order placing with a company. Think of it as a form letter. So here we have the Django template. Template is stored in .html extension. So we can say this as order.html. Let's look into the example. Django templates describe a HTML that thanks a person for order placing with a company. So think of it as a form letter. So we'll consider this HTML part as order.html. Okay, so we'll look into the template part now. So HTML, head, title, ordering notice is the title name, and we have body, and then heading as ordering notice, and then we have P, that is the paragraph tag, dear, and here we have the person name. This person name is under the curly braces, right? So it consists of special tags. This is variable because we'll be entering the value here later. Okay, and close the paragraph. Again, thank you for placing order from, here company name. Here we are specifying the person name, here company name. It is scheduled to ship on ship date. Here we are specifying the date also, date FJY. Okay, then closing the paragraph. Here are the items that you have ordered for item in item list. So here you are iteratively printing the item. You are ending the for loop, and this is the unordered list. You are ending the unordered list. Let's look further. So if ordered warranty, your warranty info will be included in packaging. Else you didn't order warranty, and ending the else if part. Okay. Then we have sincerely company name, and then we are closing the entire thing. Now here we came across person name, order warranty, ship date, company name. Company name was also included here, right? So along with the person name, company name was also included here under the curly braces. So we had person name, company name, date, item. Even the item was included in curly braces. So we can say that the person name, company name and item come under variables, because when we can dynamically change the value of this variable, right? So person name, if I'm sending this particular mail to you, it is not a mail. If I'm sending this particular letter to you, here they've specified it as form letter, right? So if I'm sending this form letter to you, you suppose being a person A. So here I can say person name is A, company name as vtupadhai, and item as FSD book. Okay. If order warranty, if here we have if, right, this is the template tag. Okay, then we have the ship date followed by the date. Here we are filtering it out, so this is a filter. We'll look into this further. Okay, what is a filter, what is a variable, what are template tags and all. So this was basic introduction about Django templates. So we have understood what a template is, what does it comprise of, and how to write a template example. Let's move further. We'll look into Django models now. So Django models represent the structure and behavior of data in application. It represents the structure and behavior. So they are Python classes that inherit from django.db.models.model. So this is important to write an exam if they ask. So each model class represents to a database. It corresponds to a database and with attributes representing fields in the table. So Django follows the ORM. It translates model classes and their relationships into database schema and queries. It translates the model classes into database schema. So model fields specify data type constraints for each attribute. So here it could be the attributes could be character field, it could be integer, or it could be date, it could be boolean, and many more. Okay. Django's migration system, we have two commands here. One is the manage.py make migrations, other one is manage.py migrate. So using these two, we can make changes to the database schema based on the model definition. So models encapsulate data access and manipulation language, providing object-oriented interface to interact with the underlying database. So models support validation, querying, and CRUD operations. We'll look into this further. Okay, we have a program. We have two set of programs in this module, which could be asked for 10 marks. Then we can say that model plus template forms the backbone of Django web development. So it creates robust, scalable, and efficient web applications. So this was the introduction part about Django models. So if they ask, write a note on Django templates and models, you can write these. Okay. Next, let's move on to what basic template tags and filters are. We'll understand this with an example. So Django template tags and filters are powerful tool for manipulating and rendering data with Django templates. So they allow us to perform operations like looping through the data, rendering, formatting, and so on. So we'll understand what template tags are initially. So in tags, we have several types of tags. Firstly, we'll look into what if-else tag is. So if-else tag. So if we have curly braces, percentage, inside that if we have if, so it evaluates a variable. If it is true, it exists. If it is false, it does not exist. After if, we have else part. So if will be there, a particular condition, if it is obeyed, it'll do whatever is written below that. Else, it has to jump into the other part, right? So that is what if-else loop, that's how if-else loop works, right? You all know about it. So if, there are three options now. If it is true, it exists. False, if it is not there, else is optional. So else is there. Now, if else is not there, if whenever we have a template tag starting with if, for, while, anything, we should end it. Okay, we should write end tag also. There has to be a starting tag. There will be an end tag also. So looking at the example, if, end if. Here we'll look at an example. Percentage, if today is weekend, then we can print this paragraph, welcome to weekend. Else, you can get back to work. Else, we have to print the paragraph, get back to work, and we are ending this if here. So that is how if-else loop works. Okay, so if doesn't allow and or clauses with same tag, because order of logic would become ambiguous. And or clauses won't be allowed in if tag because the logic will become ambiguous. Next, multiple users of same logical operator is fine, but you can't combine two different operators. That is, there is no elif part here. Elif part is not there. Elif tag is not allowed here. If endif is not used, then it will result to template syntax error. That is, we started a if here, and if we are not ending it, that will result to template syntax error. Next, we'll look into the for part. So for loop is used to loop over each item in sequence. Once we have the starting for loop, we should make use of end for loop also. Then in each loop, the template system will render everything between for and end for. So we'll look into this further. So for example, display list of athletes given a variable athlete list. So for athlete in athlete list is a variable we are creating an instance athlete from the athlete list, and we'll be printing the values, okay, or considering the values. That is, we are taking a list athlete.name. So from this athlete list, we are printing athlete name one by one. So for loop, here we started once, here we have to end once, and here we are ending the unordered list. So we can add reverse to tab to loop over a list in reverse order. So it is possible to nest for tags. Here elif was not possible, but then here we can nest the for tags. We'll look into this in the next page. So we have attributes of for tag, for loop. So for loop counter, firstly we have for loop counter. So for loop dot counter, so this is one indexed, that is number of times loop has been entered will be counted by this. So for the first time through the loop, for loop. So percentage for item in to do list. For item in to do list, here we are printing the item, that is first part. Here we are also keeping a track of how many times the item is getting printed, that is for loop dot counter. Here we are ending the for loop. I hope you have understood this step. So this was about loop dot counter, that is it will keep track. So here the index is 1. Okay, from 1 it will keep on incrementing. Okay, next we have for loop dot counter 0, that is it is same as the above one, but then it will start from 0 indexing. I hope you have understood this step. Then we have loop dot recounter. This will set the integer telling number of remaining items in the loop. So if we had 10 items in the to-do 10 items in the loop, okay, we in the to-do list we had 10 items, and we are printing each item one by one. Okay, so 10 items print madidre will get here the value as 11. Right, so initially for loop counter it had 1 index, so it will be printing 11. Okay, but then coming to for loop dot counter 0, it will print 10 because it is starting from 0. For loop dot reverse counter, suppose I printed one item, first item I printed, so it will be 9. Then again I printed the second item, it will be 8. Again I printed the third item, it will be 7. It will keep track of number of items remaining in the loop. So the last item through the loop, it will be set to 1. Okay. So for loop dot reverse 0, that is last item would be set to 0. So it is same, it is opposite of these two. Okay, counter and counter 0. Reverse is rev counter and rev 0. Then we have for loop dot first, that is a boolean value set to true if the first if this is the first time through the loop, and for loop dot last is a boolean value set to true if this is the last time through the loop. So this was about the for loop. Next we have our next tag is if equal not equal. Similarly, comparing two values and displaying everything between if are equal or not equal. So if equal users, current user, then we can print welcome, and if equal. So this is how the if equal works. If equal and if equal. So this was about the template tags. I hope you have understood. We have mainly discussed about 3 template tags: the if, the for, and if equal not equal. Next we have comments. Comments, again you can write it between percentage comments and close percentage. Here end comment. So this is how you specify the comments. Next we have the filter tags. We'll look into what filter tags are. So filter tags is the simplest way of altering the value of variables before they are displayed. So as we have seen in the form letter, I can make use of the same HTML template for different users, right? So I can use it for person A, person B, person C, person D, depending on their orders. Even the orders can vary at that time, right? So in those conditions, I'll be making use of filter tags. So they are simplest way of altering the values of variable before they are displayed. So filter tag is like a pipe character. It has a pipe character. Okay, so I'll explain you how it is. So we can consider as, suppose if I have to filter the name of a person. So name of a person, I can specify it as upper. So whichever person has the uppercase name would be printed. Okay, if I have to print the value with any filter, okay, suppose any filter here I can specify it as 2. Okay, if I specify the value as 2, the value in the present list value 2 would be printed. If I write value followed by the date as dd, m and y, that means value which is having date would be printed. Okay, next if I write value slice 3, 4, this means that the values between 3 and 4 indexing would be printed, and so on. There are many filter tags we have. We'll look into whatever is written here in the book. So filters can be chained. That is, we can club multiple filters together. Okay, so looking at this one, my list, from my list we are printing the first character. In the first character also, first element, it has to be uppercase, so it converts first element of my character to uppercase. That is how I'll alter it. Okay, next we have the variable here. So again, as I mentioned, variable could be anything. Date, so we'll filter the values specifying the date. Length, if the length is 4, then whichever values fall with the length 4 will be printed here. Slice means between those two indexing it will be printed. Truncate words, so if it is between 30 words it will be printed. Okay, so this was about the filter tags. So we have looked into what template tags are, and we have looked into what filter tags are. So this was this question could be asked for 10 marks, guys, because there is a lot to write, and make sure that you specify example for each of this. So we have looked into basic template tags and filters. Let's move further. We'll look into the difference between object related relational mapping and SQL structured query language. This was asked in internal, so let's not take risk. What if they ask to write about ORM, like OMR, ORM? We should write it, right? So object relational mapping has high level control interaction with database using Python code, whereas coming to structural query language, it is low level control and it interacts with database using SQL queries. And object relational mapping is, by the definition only we can understand that it is object oriented. It maps database tables to classes and records to objects. Here SQL is declarative, so we make use of syntax tag to describe the database operation. So by using the object relational mapping, we have less control over the database operation, but then by using the SQL queries we can have more control over the database operation. So this ORM is harder to debug because of level of abstraction, but then here it is easy to track the specific calls and debug them. Here cross database queries are not possible, but then here cross database queries are possible. Here this is pretty flexible, that is ORM plus SQL is possible in this, but then coming to SQL, only SQL. That is, a person, in order to access the data from database using SQL, I should know the SQL queries properly. So here database schema management is done automatically. Here it has to be done manually. Here built-in mechanism is used for security. Here it requires explicit precautions. So if they ask what is ORM, object relational mapping, make sure that you write these points. Moving on further, we'll be looking into configuring the database. Inserting, then updating, modifying the database, adding the how to insert values in the model, all that we'll be looking further. So we have configuring the database. So first step is to set up our database server. So we should ensure that database server is set up, activated, and that a database has been created within the database. We can do this by using create database statement. So in case of SQLite, this setup is not required as it uses standalone files on file system to create the database. This was our first step, that is to set up the database server. My second step is to edit the Django settings file. So when we create a project, we have settings.py in that. So we need to update as following. That is, database we have default, we have in engine. This is database engine. So this setting specifies the database backend to use. For example, it could be SQLite, or it could be MySQL, or it could be Oracle database, PostgreSQL, or anything. Okay, so here I'm specifying the database to use, django.db.backend, and here I'm specifying the database. Okay, this is how our database engine is. So next we have name. That is, I'll specify the name of my database. For example, if we are using SQLite, no, I should provide the full system path to the database file. Then I have user. So who is the user? I should specify the user who is connecting to the database. In case of SQLite, I can leave this empty. Okay. Next, I have the password. So in password, I specify who is connecting to the database. For SQLite or empty passwords, I can leave this blank. Okay. Then in host. So host specifies the host for connecting the database. For local host, I can leave it as empty. But if there is any particular host, I should specify the host here, and what is the port being accessed here should also be mentioned here. Okay, so this was the first step, the second step which we have done, and that's it. I save this part and I'm ready to perform the next step. So to ensure proper functionality, we need to download and install appropriate database adapter. So after this, a database adapter is pretty important for chosen database. So each adapter is freely available online. Follow the links provided in the required adapters column in the documentation. Once configured in settings.py, that is the second step which we have done, test the configuration. So we should run manage.py to activate the Python interpreter. So after that, we'll have from database.db import connection cursor is equal to connection.cursor. So by following these three steps, we can configure our database. So this was about configuring the database. Next topic we have is template inheritance. So in template inheritance, we create a base template and reuse across multiple templates. You understand what inheritance is, right? From a parent class, the properties are being inherited to the child class. That is what inheritance speaks of. So that was about the inheritance. Next we have, this is used to reduce the redundancy. So template management is more efficient and organized if we make use of inheritance topic. It provides a consistent look and feel across different pages of web application. So it creates base skeleton template that contains all common parts of your website and defines blocks that child template can override. So I hope you have understood this step. So explaining this in simpler terms. So for the page, what was that? To publish the transaction, which we looked in the first templates part. So initially we made a skeleton part which comprised of, initially it was welcome or thank you for ordering, something was there, right? Along with that, here we specified what is the person name, by when did he order. Next, what is the company name was constant. That is, if I am sending, my company name would be constant, right? And here it was the order description. And if there was any warranty, the warranty was also specified here. These two were constant things and these were the variable things. So if we look at this, these two are the parent classes and these are the child classes. Like the values are being inherited here, the values are being extended. Not exactly this is an example for template inheritance, but understand it as an example. So these are the parent which provide the skeleton part, and here we have the body, that is the child templates. So let's look into what's written here. So creates a base template that contains all common parts of your website and defines blocks that child templates can override. So basic template. So basic template is the common structure and layout of website. So it uses block. So here we make use of block. Okay, block tag to define the section that child templates can override. Okay, I hope you understand. You understood this. Common structure and layout of website which uses block tag to define the section that child templates can override. So we'll look into what child template is. Child template can extend the base template using extends base.html. So we make use of extends base.html to extend the contents from the base template. So child template override specific blocks defined in base template using block name and end block. So we are making use of block tag here. Definitely there will be a block along with the block name, and here we have the end block ending it. So we can create complete template for our current date and time view by editing the current date and time HTML file. So let's look into this example. So here we have the base template, that is base.html. Here I am writing the HTML. So head title is block title. So in title I have written block title, end the block and end the title. Next in the body part, the heading I have specified as my helpful timestamp. So this would be common throughout whichever website, whichever page you are creating for current date and time, whichever application you are creating for current date and time. Block content, end block. So here you are specifying the content here. Okay. Then in footer, you have block footer, thanks for visiting. This is standard, and end block. These are standard here, body and HTML. Okay. We have seen the title block, the body block here. Body block is not there, the footer block here. So this was about the base template, base.html. We'll look into how child templates look. So child template current date time.html. So here we are writing percentage extends base.html. We are like overriding the values of base.html, right? So we are inheriting the properties of base.html. That is why we are written extends base.html. Okay. Then block title. In block title, I left there empty. No, I should write the current time here because I'm taking for current date and time. End block. Then block content is also block content is opened. Here I am printing the paragraph. I am printing the current time. Here I am using the tag. Current date I am printing here. Heading was current time, and here the title of the web page was current time, and here the content is I am printing. If it is 9:30, it is 9:30 p.m. and it will be printed. And here I'm ending the block. Here this is how I am using the base.html and specifying whatever changes I have performed in the current date time HTML. If I have to look for hours ahead.html, I can write extends base.html. That is because base.html is the parent template. Block title future time. Here it was current time. Here it is future time. Okay. End block content. In it is hours offset hours. Okay. So it is 4 hours. It is hours offset 4 hours. It will be next time. So here we can say, here we are specifying the actual time. In 3 hours, it will be the next time. So here, suppose if here it was 9:30, then I can say that if offset is provided as 2 hours, it would be in 2 hours, it will be next time. That is 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. Okay, so in 2 hours, it will be 11:30 would be printed in the hours ahead.html. So this was example for the parent HTML and child HTML template. So while child HTML template is loaded, Django template engine process the tag and loads base HTML. Then it replaces block into base HTML, base template, that is child to base. If block is not overridden in child template, the content from base HTML will only be retained. So if I'm trying to load the contents from base to the from the child to parent, and if it is not happening, then whatever is there in parent would be printed as it is. That's what it means. So here again we are made use of extends, that is to specify like extend between the child tag and the base tag. Must be the first tag. Okay, this has to be the first tag in child template. If you have noticed, it was the first tag, right? Then we made use of block and end block. That is block that can be overridden by the child template. Block content in the base template serve as default and it is not overridden. Then we have block.super. Block.super means whatever is there in parent will be there across all the child templates. You cannot change it. Okay, you cannot override the value. Looking at the best practices, we should make more use of block tags to provide hooks for customization. The more you make use of block tags, you can reuse it multiple times. So move repeated code into blocks. So whichever code is repeated again and again, put it in parent template so that it is easy for you to reusability, the code remains concise, it is neat, and it is properly understood and all that. So if there are same names of blocks, it will give out error. Okay, so this was about the best practices. So here we have looked into the template inheritance, guys. This topic is pretty easy. The notes would be available in description. I would suggest you to thoroughly go through these topics, understand it. You can write it pretty easily. Next we have is to make changes in the database, insertion and updation and deletion in the database. So this is the first program. So we have two programs in this module. Okay, so first one, in models we are updating the models part, right? That is from Django.db import models. I'm importing the models. Here I'm creating the models. Okay, from Django.db importing the models, and here I'm specifying a class and an instance. Class channels, I'm creating a channels. Model.model, models is an instance and model is the actual model which I am inheriting. Okay, so channel name I'm specifying it as models.charField. That is, we have discussed this in the models part, right? What are the Django models? So we are specifying channel name as models.charField, and the maximum length which it can take is 100 characters. Then channel number is models.integerField, because number is integer, right? Then language is equal to charField. Channel type is charField again, and number of viewers is model.integerField. So first step I'm done is to create the models. After creating the models, I should look into the view part. That is, after this part, I can write define str self and return self dot all. Okay, So I am returning this entire thing, or I can, if any particular model I need to be printed, I can specify that as well. Okay. Next we have views.py. In that, from Django.shortcuts import render, I'm making use of render because I have to dynamically change or allot the values in the database, right, in the models. Then I am making use of HTTP response. I am making use of template and context. I am also making use of channels, because this channels is the model which I have created. I am importing it here in the views part. Okay. So here I'll write it as define insert demo. So this is for inserting. Okay. Def insert demo request m is equal to channels. I'm specifying all the details. Channel name is Sony. Channel number is specified. Channel language is specified. Channel type is specified. Number of viewers are specified. After specifying this, I should save the value, that is m.save, because all this information is stored in this particular value, that is m, right? M being the variable, I'll write m.save. When I write m.save, in my database there will be one more row added with all these values. Okay, so I have done the insertion part, that is to insert a particular data into the model or database. I'm done with this. Next I have, after doing this, I should have return HTTP response. The heading is records inserted successfully, because I have inserted the record. I am returning like a response there. Then in update, here it will be m is equal to channels.object.filter. That is, I am filtering the object with channel name contains a star. So whichever channel name has star will be updated here. That is, for C in M, C dot number of viewers. So in C, in channel name here, suppose, let me show you here. This is the database which I have created. The first one was channel name. The second one was channel number. Then it was language. Then I have the type. Then I have the number of viewers. So here what I am doing is, first I am accessing the channel name, that is star. So from this star, the number of viewers, it was 30 here earlier. Okay, but then I am writing it as for C in M. That is, I am iterating. Okay, for C in M, if there are multiple channels, then I should iterate and update the value. That is, this number of viewers should be updated from 30 to 50. So it will be for C in M, C dot number of viewers is equal to 50. After updating the value, I should save the C dot save. Done. And then again return HTTP response. I have successfully updated the value of channel from channel star from 30 viewers to 50 viewers is what I'll write here. Okay. Next, delete. So one we did insertion, but then we did updating the value. Then we'll look into deletion. So define delete demo request m is equal to channel.object.get. Channel number is 3. So any channel with number 3 would be deleted here. m.delete, again m.save. So the database would be updated. Then I'll return channel deleted successfully. So this was the view part which I have done. Now we'll look into the URL part. Okay. So using admin interface, we can like register the models in admin, and by doing so we can easily access the model. Okay. So from django.contrib import admin, then we are importing the path, and then we are importing the insert demo, operate demo, delete demo, and then in this was after that, where URL pattern is equal to, I am updating the URL pattern. Before this, I should do admin.site.register also. So the admin.site.register should be done in the whichever application URL is there in that. And this particular part, admin.site.url should be updated in the settings.url part. I hope you are understanding this step. Okay. So this is how we delete, insert, modify, and update a particular database. So if a question is asked to make changes in database, insert, update, delete, you can write this program easily. Okay. I would suggest you not to make use of so many attributes. Just use only two: channel name and channel number, because one will be character, one will be integer. It will be easy to understand, easy to write. Okay. So this was about the database operations. Now we look into template loading. So Django has powerful API for loading templates from disk. So the goal of template loading is to remove the redundancy while template loading calls in our template. So in order to remove the redundancy, we are making use of template loading. So in order to use it, first we need to tell it where the templates are stored. That is in settings.py, we should update. Put configuration of your Django instance. We should put our configuration of our Django instance. That is in template directories. We should update that my template is present in my side, which is again present in the particular Django application, again in home part. Okay, so put configuration for your Django instance. Settings tell Django loading mechanism where to load the function templates, because by default it is empty tuple. So here we are filling the values, right? Here we are specifying the configuration of our Django instance. To avoid mistakes, we can make it a list, because single element list doesn't require trailing commas. So this is again to reduce any further mistakes, we can make use of list. Okay, looking at an example, current time with template. So we create current datetime.html file within the template directory. Then we make use of render to response. So here this is a common idiom to load template, fill context, return HTTP response. So here this we have seen, right? From Django.template load import get template. Again, along with that we are also loading get context and HTTP response as it is, and we are importing datetime also. Here we are specifying define current datetime request now is equal to datetime.datetime.now. Now is equal to datetime.now. Okay. Then t is equal to get template. Here I am calling the template. Okay. So current datetime.html. This current datetime.html is the template where my value is stored. Okay. So HTML is equal to t.render. So in this I should update the value. I should render, that is dynamically update the value, real-time value updation. That is t.render. Context is current date time. Current date should be equated to now and return the response as HTML. In this HTML, I am making use of the current datetime.html. Now again, I'll be printing this. We'll look into this, what this HTML is defining on the. Now, after this, from Django.shortcuts, import render to response. So I am importing datetime, defining the current datetime as again request. Now is equal to datetime.datetime.now. Return render to response current datetime.html. So in current datetime.html, it is referring to this particular HTML page, the template page. Again, current date is equal to now. Whatever the actual date is as of now, it will be printed. So HTML body, it is now this current date, whatever the value is specified in this would be printed here is 5:30. Then I'm closing the HTML part. So this was about template loading. I would suggest you to go through the example and understand it, refer it once again. You'll understand the topic. It is pretty easy. Then we have MTV development pattern with example. So MTV is M stands for model, T stands for the template, V stands for view. Is this same as MVC? Yes, this is same as MVC, but then here we are making use of templates. So that is why instead of C we have added T here. So it is interpretation of popular MVC architecture. Yeah, this is understood. Then it is a way of structure the code in web applications, dividing it into 3 interconnected components. So yeah, again we understand how MVC works. So firstly we have the model, then we have the view, and we have the templates. In model, it is data. It specifies the data structure of application. So it encapsulates data access logic, including querying, insertion, updation, deletion. So we have seen this in the models part, right, in the previous example. Next, in views part is the presentation layer of logic of application. So it receives the HTTP request, fetches the data from database, and returns it in the response through templates. Then we have templates. Templates are used handle user interface of application. They are HTML files with embedded template tags and variables that Django replaces with actual value while rendering. So we have seen this also. So it allows to generate dynamic content and present it to the user. So this was about MVC. Let's consider a simple example representing the blog post again. So we have title, content, author, and publication date. So here I have the model part. From Django.db import models, I'm importing the models. Class, post, models.py, I'll be making use as this as an instance. Title is equal to models.char field, maximum length is 100. Done. Next, content is equal to model. Again, it is character field only. Max length is 100 only. Then author is equal to models.foreign key. Author is a foreign key here. Okay. So specifying from user. Okay. On delete, models.cascade. So if the value is deleted here, it has to be updated there also. This is we know how foreign key works, right? Then we have publication date. Models is equal to date time auto now add is equal to true. If the date is specified here, it has to be true. Okay. Next, looking at the view part, from Django.shortcuts import render. Okay, we are using the render function, then render to response function. Then from dot models import the post. We are importing the post model here. We are defining post list request. Post is equal to from the post. We are getting the objects and printing all. I hope you understood the statement. From the post model, I am considering each one as object and I am printing all. So return render request blog post list.html and I am printing the posts one by one. Now looking into this post list.html, that is the template. HTML title is blog and here heading is blog post. For post in posts, again I'm creating a variable here, a for loop. I am printing the title here one by one, and along with the title I'm also printing the publication date and end date. Okay, so this is how the MTV development pattern works. So we are done with the Django models MTV development also. Now let's look into a few questions which were asked in the sample paper. So the first one was, how can we add model string representation in Django? These are 5-mark questions. Okay, so why is it useful? So a model representation in Django refers to the way an instance of model is represented as a string. This is controlled by defining. We have made use of this particular method, right? Int, then hyphen str, and then we specify some self dot something, right, in method class. So it provides human readable string representation of a model instance. This is particularly used in an admin interface in Django shell where printing model instances. To add model string in Django, we should define the method first. It is define string method. So this method returns a string that represents the model object. For example, from Django.import models class publisher models.model name is equal to, I'm specifying models.charField and specifying this particular attribute, and finally I'm returning this, the model representation, the string representation. Okay, def str self, I'm returning self.name. So it returns name attribute of publisher model. So it will return the name attribute, only this particular column would be returned. Okay, so this is how it is. Why is it useful? It is useful, improved readability. So by using the model string representation, it becomes easier for us to understand. Output replaces the generic object names, admin interfaces, easy record identification, easy record management, debugging. It simplifies working with model instances during debugging. Enhanced query results. So query set displays model instances using string representation, making results easier to understand. That's what I told. And consistency. So uniform representation of the entire code across the application. So this was about the model string representation. Why is it useful? This was asked for 5 marks. Okay. Next we have the schema evolution. And how does Django handle it? Schema evolution refers to the process of modifying database over time as an application requirement keeps on changing. This includes adding, altering, deleting the table columns, indexes, or any other database schema components. So how does Django handle the schema evolution? Through migrations, automatic detection, migration execution, version control, and flexibility. So we have 5 points to write in the exam. So first one is migrations. So it uses migration system to handle the schema changes. Then we have automatic detection. So Django automatically detects any changes made to the Django files and makes migration files. So through migration files only you can handle the schema evolution. Okay. That is updating or modifying the database over time. Then we have migration execution. So after writing this migration files also, we should execute it, right? So by using the migrate command, we can update the values, that is handle the schema evolution. Then we have version control. Again, version control, migration are stored as code and can be committed to version control system, ensuring schema changes are tracked. By doing all this, it provides flexibility to modify the database values and also handle the schema evolution efficiently in Django applications. So this was about the schema evolution. How does Django handle it? Next, we have the last topic in this module, the second program. Either the first program, that is a database, could be asked, or this could be asked. So the program is related to books, publisher, author, something. So Django if they ask us to write an application, so make sure you start from admin start project. If not, if they are asking us to write an example, just write if it is about templates, write the templates part. If it is about model, write the model part. If it is about any operation, write the operations part, that is the view part. And if it is about database, write only the settings part. Okay. So Django admin, start project, my project, and then changing the directory to my project. I'm creating a application called books. Next, I'll be creating the models, that is in models.py under books. So from django.db import the models. I am specifying the class publisher. So models.model. I am specifying the name, website, and age. I hope you understand this. Name is equal to models.char field max length is equal to 100. So for name, I'm taking input as that specific field should be of character type, and maximum length should be 100. That is what it specifies. Website is equal to models.url field, because website comprises of URL, right? Then age is equal to integer field. Then here the string representation which we saw in the previous page, define this string self, return self.name. I'm returning this name. Okay. Next, again creating a class of author. I am specifying the first name, last name, and email. Again return self, first name and last name are being returned here. And then again I'm creating book. So title is being specified here and returning the title. So I'm done with creation of models. Next is apply migration. Create tables in database. So that is Python manage.py make migrations, Python manage.py migrate. So by using these two, we can make tables in the database. Next, I have to insert a value and save it. So publisher is equal to, publisher is a variable of publisher class. Capital P, publisher class, name I'm specifying, website I'm specifying, age I'm specifying. That is, I'm adding a row in the database, in the table, and publisher.save. By using this, I'm saving it. Same way we can insert values for other tables, for author, for book also we can do the same. Next, retrieve data. So publisher is equal to, again a small p here, publisher.object.all. All means I'm returning all the values of database of publisher table. If I specify .get name is equal to a, or name with a should be printed. If I write filter age is equal to 12, means 12 filter irodana print ಮಾಡಬೇಕು or ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. Then we have update and delete. So publisher is equal to publisher.get object.get name is equal to a. I'm selecting object with name a. Publisher.name is equal to b. I'm changing the name from a to b, updating the value, and then publisher.save. This was for update, and publisher.delete was for delete. Okay, I hope you understood this. I have combined both the steps in one code snippet only. Next, using admin interface, I should register the models. From django.content import admin. From models import publisher, author, book. Admin.site.register. I am registering the publisher, author, and book. And then further in settings.url, again I should admin.url.site. Again I should update these. So these would be publishers, like it will be similar to the previous one which we have seen. Then finally python.manage.py create super user. By creating super user, it helps us to access the admin interface. Okay, so after creating the super user, I should give the super user username and password, and after that I can access this particular database. So this is how we can create a database, access it, perform different operations, CRUD operations on it. So I hope you have understood all the concepts of second module. Only these concepts are there in second module. I would say that there are no proper notes. Be it VTU code also, there are only 18 pages where not all the topics are covered. My notes, handwritten notes, comprise of all the important topics. So I would suggest you to go through the notes. If you have any doubts, do let me know in the comments, and stay tuned. I'll be uploading the third module, fourth module, and fifth module pretty soon. Thank you.